Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the React foundations and what are the necessary things to create a React application. Then in later video, we will be improvising from a React application to a Next.js application. The reason I opted to go for this React thing is to align the basics, how an HTML page can be made interactive using JavaScript first. Then we will be discussing about the JSX and how it could have been easily used using the React and without using the NPM, directly integrating the APIs, sorry, the I would say the packages, referencing the packages. We can try using React and what is JSX and what's the difference between JavaScript and what's the use of a JavaScript compiler. And these are the things which we are going to discuss. So without further ado, let's move. Okay, I have opened the Visual VS Code, and now I'm going to create a new a normal HTML file, and then we'll be moving forward. So let me just create a new file. This time I'm going to create an HTML file. So let me just call it. It's not going to be a text file. So what I'm going to do, let me just save it first in the right location. So basically, we are going to create an index file, and this is going to be an HTML file. So I've just created an HTML file, and let me just try adding some HTML code first. Why I'm doing so, you'll get an idea in the meanwhile why rather than just directly going to the JavaScript or React thing, why I'm doing this. So I'm starting from the very basic. Whenever you like create an HTML file, so you can easily render that inside a browser. So let me just open the browser first. So we have written some HTML code. Let me just write our yes, so this is our HTML page. So this is a simple HTML page, no JavaScript, nothing. And so let me just open the HTML file and try refreshing it. So you can see we have our HTML available. So with further, like moving further, what we are going to do, we are going to give a specific ID to our div. The reason is that we need to modify our div. So this ID help us grab this div and perform certain things. For the time being, I'm going to remove this. So let's just make it empty. And if I just refresh it, so you can see, so we don't have anything. Let me just inspect that and I can quickly show you within the body, there is a div with ID L. So you can see we have a div having ID L. So now let's just introduce the JavaScript. I'm going to add a JavaScript. So let's just add the script tag, and over here with the type, let's just add tag/JavaScript. So over here inside this, we are going to use some JavaScript. Let me just use a constant, and we are going to grab that div. So what we are going to do, declare a variable app, and using the document, we are going to get element by ID. So this is just element by ID. This way we are going to grab this app. So let's just have this, and further we are going to do, we are going to use this specific app in adding certain elements or doing thing. So let's just do one more thing. Let's just add a header. So what we are trying to do, again, we are going to this time we are creating if you can quickly see, there is nothing, only just a div. So what we are trying to do, we have just grabbed that div, and inside that div we are trying to create a specific element. So let's just try creating an element, and what I'm going to create inside this, I'm going to create a h1 element inside that. So and what I'm going to assign to that the text which we are going to assign. Let's just say start using JavaScript. So initially we have created our HTML and then we have started creating our JavaScript. And inside that we have our like header content. We are going to call this, we have created like three constants. One is the app where we got the app, and then we have created a header, and we need to set the HTML, I would say the text. So what we are going to do, let's just create a document, just create a text node. So let's just create text node, and inside that we are going to pass that text which we have just created. And inside the header which we have just created, let's just append that child, and we call it this header content. So the header content that we have just created, we are going to append it to the header, and inside the app then we are going to append this header. So this is the whole HTML, and let's just try refreshing it. So you can see what actually happened. Like it processes this JavaScript, and if I just close it, I can quickly show you. Let me just close this, and so you can see initially, if I can quickly show you, the div do have ID, but there is nothing inside this. So this is our actual HTML. But when we are rendering it inside our like browser, you can see there is an HTML h1 tag been added with start using HTML. So this HTML over here is basically a DOM, and what we would say document object model, which could have been easily manipulated using the JavaScript. So this is one thing. So we have learned how HTML works and how JavaScript can be used. So, and also we have learned what's the difference between a DOM and HTML. DOM, HTML, you can say it's a original like source, and DOM is basically the actual or the like updated representation of the current snapshot of what's being displayed in the HTML like browser. So yeah, you can see like Java script itself is very verbose. Like just to add an HTML, just this text, you have to capture this app, then the header, the text. You can see like around 6 line of codes have been done, and we have to explicitly tell each and everything how we need to do. So this style of coding is called imperative coding. So what it doesn't say, like in imperative coding, all the details you need to tell to the application step by step details. But this is sort of a verbose thing, like you have to mention each and everything. With new frameworks coming in, as we need more complex JavaScript, so what is actually happening over there, they are using another approach which is called declarative approach. What does that declarative approach do? Basically, it in declarative approach, you just tell what you want to achieve rather than how to achieve. Let's say if you want to just add h1, only you tell like h1 tag need to be added, rather than telling each and everything how we are going to do it. So, and on the similar lines, React itself is a declarative UI library. So what does it do? Like you just add the React and tell a specific thing like I need this, and React itself and in the underlying the library identifies how it could have been achieved, and they perform it under the hood, and you get your results. The UI have been updated and this and that. So now let's just move to the next part, and which is the React. So we need to get our React package from a specific content delivery network. One more thing which I'm going to show you is there is a content delivery network unpackaged. So we are going to reference a specific file, a React file from there. So you can see still I haven't done anything related to npm or something, because npm itself is a node package manager which installs certain libraries either locally, or there is a npx as well. So npm itself download the libraries, get it installed, and certain JavaScript compiler like Babel have been used behind the scene, and when we run the code or try to like compile the specific application, what does actually happen? The JSX, which I will quickly tell you what it's and how it's different from JavaScript. The actual application compiles that. The JavaScript compiler compiles that and transform it into a JavaScript which is readable by the browser. So if you're not able to follow all things, don't worry. I'll be explaining each and everything in detail. But for the time being, just see that unpackage itself is a global content delivery network. So we are going to reference this like the React file from this, and let's just try adding a React library. So I'm going to add a script and the source is going to be HTTPS, and I do have the exact link with me. So unpackage.com/react, we are going to use the 18 over here rather than using the 19 one, which is the most recent one. And there's a folder UMD, which is like sort of a universal module. I can't exactly recall, but it do have specific libraries which can run easily on different browsers. And I'll add more detail on this, then you can see or find it in the like any web. So with the further thing, let's just move forward. And what we are going to reference, we are going to reference the React development JS library. And let's just close this, and this script tag have been added. Second thing which we need to add apart from the React library is a source where we are going to add HTTPS, and this time we are going to use like again from the unpackaged delivery network, CDN network. And this time what we are going to reference, we are going to reference React-DOM, and React-DOM at 18. Again from the UMD folder, inside that we have the React-DOM dot development and dot JS, and this time this script have been done. So once like we have added, so let's just remove this code, or let me just comment it out rather than removing. We might, okay, so you can see, let me just remove this and try referencing this at least to see nothing is breaking up. Let's see if this JS library being referenced. Okay, we will see it further down the road. So moving further, what we need to do, we need to first we need to grab that app. So let's just uncomment this. So this is the thing which we are going to reuse. And what else we are going to do, then we are going to set up root element. And what we are going to do over here, we are going to use the React DOM dot create root. And what we are going to provide the app ID. Basically this is the div ID, having div having the app as the ID we are going to use. So React is going to render each and everything inside this. So this is one thing. And the next thing which we are going to do is to use the root dot render, and inside that we are going to use h1 learn React. This time we are going to call learn React. Initially we just got HTML up, then the JavaScript, and then we have, you can see we are trying to use h1 tag. Basically this is an HTML which we are trying to use inside the JavaScript. We are going to get some issue in a while, so let me just showcase this to you. Let me just compile it, and you see nothing happens. Let's just see what actually happens in the console. It says like there is an unexpected token. The reason is when the when the JavaScript being interpreted, so you can see over here on this, it is treating this as a JavaScript, and this HTML can't be a part of JavaScript. So basically this is not a whole JavaScript code, it itself is a JSX. What does JSX means? JavaScript XML. So this is basically a syntax. So this piece of code is not JavaScript, it's JSX. So we need to call it JSX. And just to add more on this, basically it's a syntax extension that basically allows you to describe UI in a similar HTML like syntax within JavaScript, and in like a broader format, it's called JavaScript XML. And why the browser is complaining? Basically, the browser doesn't know what JSX is. So they to compile this to an exact JavaScript, what we need a JS compiler. And what does a JS compiler do? I'll quickly show you. We need to add or like search for a JS compiler. Let me just get hold of a compiler. I'll show you Babel. So just hold on. So you can see I have open over here like Babel. So Babel itself is a JS compiler. What does it do? It gets or like processes your JSX code to a pure JavaScript, which the browser can easily interpret. So let's just try incorporating the Babel. We are going on the similar lines, the way we have used the React. We are not going to use npm or anything right now. We will be doing it later, but I'm trying to get you an exact foundational steps where using which you get to know how we differentiate HTML, then JavaScript, then JSX, and then how the JS compiler works. So let's just add, I do have a source for that. So let's just add HTTPS. And this time again, we are going to use this N package. And over here, we do have a Babel. And this Babel, I think I have misspelled. So let me just add that. And then we have a standalone folder, and inside that we are going to use the babel.min.js. You can see that we are using the min.js file because this thing, no change or nothing new needs to be there. So only minimite file will be used. This is not a very standard way, or this is not being used in production. In production, somewhat different ways have been used, and when we like compile our application for to be production ready, this have been done prior rather than using it as a script. So this is more of an experimental and educational thing. So just hold on with me and you get to know the idea. So what this Babel is going to do, it's going to grab this code and change it to like a JS file. So with this being done, let's just let me just try doing it once again, and you will get to know what is actually happening. So I just tried refreshing it, and still you see like this is being like this token is unexpected token is being mentioned over here. The reason is that we are still stating that this is a JavaScript. So browser is like treating it as a JavaScript, and the Babel itself is not trying to process it. So let's just change it to JSX. So this time let's just try refreshing it, and you can see now what is actually happening. So it's allowing us to like process the JSX, and you can see the warning is there. You are using the in-browser Babel transformer. Be sure to pre-compile your script. So what I was referring to, basically for the production, I need to pre-compile my scripts rather than allowing it to be included at the very later time when the page have been rendered. So this was one thing. So you can see that we have just seen how like JSX being rendered. Now let's move to the actual React part. So the React itself, you have like three core components. One is a component itself. Then like a component is, you can think of it as a breakdown. If let's say we have a home page, within home page we can have a header, body, and a footer. So this header body and footer can be treated as a, I would say, component. Then we have props. We will be discussing about the props, like if we need to pass certain like variables to those components to modify or display certain things, so we can see to that. And then we have a state which is being linked or attached to a specific component. Let's say if we are interacting with the component and some counter is being incremented, so we need to keep track of that using the state. So let's just move further, exploring the component first. So basically you can think of like component as a reusable component. So let's just move, and within the script what we are going to do, post this, let's just keep this over here. I'm going to add a function. Basically like come in React, basically the components are just a function. So let's just add a function. I'm going to add a header function, and it what it does, it just returns a sort of I would say UI elements. So let's just try to return h1, and what we are going to call now, we are going to call as learn React component. Let me just call this h1. uh, so you can see, like using this header, we are going to return our uh, HTML, which is being used by this component. So let's just try to render this, and instead of this, you can see we are using a root. So rather than using this, we are going to use header. We are going to face some error, which I want you to observe and see so you get an idea. So let's just try recompiling it, and this time you can see we are going, functions are not valid as React child. This may happen if you return a component instead of this. So basically what we are doing, we are not like using this tag is like this over here. So we should have used this way. One more error we are going to face, which I will be quickly showcasing it to you. Still, it's not going to be uh, working perfectly or right. The reason is that, like React components should be like Pascal case, or you can say they should have been like capitalized. So I'm changing this to header, and this header is being used over here, and let's just try running again. So now you can see we are getting our learn React component being rendered. So what change we have done, we have just created a function which you can think of a React component, and then this component we are trying to render it using this. So this is a very simple component. On a similar line, from a header, let's just create uh, another component. What we are trying to do, we are trying to achieve like nesting specific components. So let's just create a home page component, and within the home page component, what we are going to do, we are going to return a specific div, and inside that div we are going to return the header. So let's just close this div. Let me just do it in a bit neat way. Just try. Okay, just give me a minute. I'm trying to make it a bit verbose. So you can see we have a header, or instead of rendering home page, we are going to call this home page, not home page, yeah, home page. And just for the sake of clarity, I'm just trying to make this home page, so you get to know some more thing needs to be displayed. If I'm going to refresh it, okay, something have been missed, so let me just try looking into it. The function is being there, div. Let me just remove this for the time being. What issue I've been facing, try rendering it. Still I'm facing some issue. Just give me a minute. One thing which I might try doing it this way. Okay, so one thing, basically on a single line, you can see it was exactly returning, but as I've moved to a like multi-line, so I need to use like this braces or brackets basically. So now you can see I'm able to return it. One more thing, if I can quickly show you, just to make it look clear to you. So we have our home page component, which is rendering its text, and inside that we are getting a child component, which is the header component. So you can see like this is a header. But one thing, if let's say we want to pass a specific title, you can see like header is displaying some text, like let me just refresh this, and it's just say like learn uh, learn React component. But let me just refresh it. Okay, so but if I want the title to be changed, let's say if I want to call it learn React and try, because the component like claims that they can be like reusable. So let's say using the same component, if I want this learn React or learn Angular, and if I try refreshing it, you can see nothing has been changed. So what actually happens? This is something which we need to like pass on. So what we need to pass on, here comes the props are sort of like values which have been like passed from top or parent component to the child component. So what we are going to modify, we are going to allow a props over here. So this is basically a object that has been passed, and over here what we are going to display, we are going to display prop dot title. So one thing which I'll be quickly showcasing you, I'm trying to display it, but the thing is that it's not displaying this specific title within the object. What it is doing, it's simply printing it, because this is interpreted as a text. So to make it interpreted as a specific object property, I need to use this. And let me just try refreshing it. Now this time you see like the same component, the which the header component we have, and we are rendering learn React and learn Angular on those using the props. So prop is basically just to pass specific values to our child component. Now let's move forward to one more thing. We need to add some interactivity. Like we have our, you can say this project, and we have our HTML. So let's just do one thing. Pause this. Let's just add a button. So let me just add a button over here, and I'm going to call this like button. So what it is going to do, uh, I'm going to just add a button, and I want to add some interactivity. Let's say when I click like, some counter should have been incremented, and using that we can do further thing. So you might be aware of that, or if you don't know, so no worries. There are events which we can attach to our button. So on click is an event which we are going to add, and inside the home page we are going to define this as the like a specific function which we are going to define, and then we are going to link it with the our on click event. So we have just defined on click, but nothing or no like the function or event is being linked with this. So just to have that, let me just try writing a specific function, and let me just call it handle click, and let me just call it handle click, and I'm going to add a console log rather than doing something more concrete. Let me just add a console.log, and I will call increment like. So this way, and let me just add this handle click inside this, and this time I'm going to refresh this, and I'm going to click the like. So you can see increment title over here is being shown, and as I keep on clicking, you can see a counter itself, like over here it's been clicked 9 times, so I can keep clicking. So this is one thing. So interactivity have been added. So now you can see that a specific interactivity have been added, but what I need to know, or I mean what I need to capture, is like how many times this click have been clicked, or I need to keep track of this like button. Let's say something like over here inside the like, I need to keep track a specific number. Let's say I this time I'm hard coding it, but I want whenever I just click, this number is going to get incremented. So for that we need to look into the hooks. So, or hooks, or I would say the we need to maintain the state, we need to have the specific hooks. So first what we have seen the components, and then we have looked on our interactivity thing, like component we have discussed the component, then we have discussed the prop, and then we are going to discuss about the state. So over here you can think like React itself has a set of functions called hooks. So different functions called as hooks are available, and they allow you to keep track of this state. So basically you can think there is a specific use state hook which the React provide you to manage the state. So let's just move and try it, adding it, then you will get an idea what is actually happening. So to use the state, then let's just try to add a specific React state. So let me just add over here inside this. Let me just create a constant array, and we are going to use the React. You know that we have added the library, and we are going to use state. So this is the basically hook. Itself is a function which React provides us, and what it's going to return. This is going to return an array. So the first value of this array is going to be the value. Like we need to keep track of likes. So basically this is a variable which is keeping track of the value, and then how to handle or increment or something. There is a second thing. This is going to be a specific function which we are going to call, or like when the button is being clicked. So this will keep track of the incrementing or decrementing these likes. So these are the two things which have been written. So, and let's just add a state over here as well. So this way, what we are able to do, we are able to keep track of uh, what the state is and handle over here. And inside the like, what we are going to do, the likes function, or I would say this variable, you can see, we are going to use likes over here. So if I just refresh it, so you can see the initial state 0, not I think something have been missed. Likes is there, constant is there, and likes is there. So let me just do one thing. Seems like let me check this. Okay, so again I did a mistake, and the mistake was that basically inside this HTML, this likes is again being treated as a text. So I need to use these curly braces or the literals, and let's see what actually happens. And let me just open the HTML and let's just try refreshing it. So you can see the like is there. Let me just try clicking. You can see the increment is there, but nothing is actually happening. The reason is that like whenever I click on this handle, so nothing is being done. So I need to use that set like to increment that. So let me just use that set like, and what set likes, and what I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass the exact variable, and I'm going to add one to it. So what is actually happening, what is inside the like is going to be returned over here. So you can see I'm going to refresh it, and now it's 0. Let me just click it and just keep clicking, and you can see the increment is 7 over here, and the increment itself is incrementing. So far you have seen that we have achieved HTML, then we have moved to JavaScript, then we have looked into the JSX, and then further down the road we have seen how we can add React. Then we have looked into the JavaScript compiler, the Babel, and then we used or worked on the three core components of React. Like one is the component itself, then we have touched on what prop itself, and then we have seen the state and the hooks. So I'm very hopeful that this gives you a basic foundation of how HTML, JavaScript, React, and JavaScript compiler works. And further down the road, we are going to see further details in the React arena, but and even the Next.js as well, because the Next.js is itself a framework of React. So you need to have a good command of React before like jumping into the Next.js. So I'm very hopeful that you might have liked this, or you at least get a good idea of how things are interacting and working behind the scenes. So keep watching, and if you like it, so feel free to like the video and subscribe for somewhat more similar videos in the upcoming time. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.